There is a moment many people experience but rarely talk about. It happens late at night when the world is quiet. Your phone stops buzzing, the emails stop coming, the responsibilities pause for a second, and suddenly you feel it, the weight, the pressure that has been silently building inside you for weeks, months, maybe even years. Stress is not always loud. Sometimes it whispers. It shows up as exhaustion when you, wake up in the morning, even after a full night's sleep. It shows up when small problems suddenly feel huge. Shows up when your mind refuses to rest even when your body begs for it. Most people believe burnout happens suddenly. They think one day you wake up and everything collapses. But that's not how it works. Burnout is slow. It's like a candle slowly melting away. Every stressful day, every ignored emotion, every moment you push yourself beyond your limits adds another drop of wax falling away. At first you barely notice it. You tell yourself you are just busy. You tell yourself this is temporary. You tell yourself strong people handle pressure. But what many people don't realize is that constant stress rewires the way your brain thinks and the way your body feels. When stress becomes your normal state, your mind begins to believe that pressure is permanent. Your nervous system stays in survival mode. Instead of feeling excited about life, you begin to feel trapped inside it. The things that once motivated you start feeling like obligations. The dreams that once energized you start feeling like burdens. And slowly, without realizing it, you stop living and start merely surviving. The truth is that burnout does not happen because you are weak. Burnout happens because you have been strong for too long, without rest. You kept showing up when you were exhausted. You kept pushing forward when your mind needed peace. You kept saying yes when your soul wanted to say no. And eventually the body sends a message that cannot be ignored anymore. But here is the powerful truth most people never hear. Stress itself is not the enemy. Stress is simply a signal. It is your mind and body telling you that something in your life needs attention. Something needs to change. Something needs to slow down. The people who learn to listen to that signal early transform their lives. The people who ignore it eventually hit a wall. So if you are watching this right now feeling overwhelmed, feeling tired, feeling like you are carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, understand something important. This moment is not the end of your strength. It might actually be the beginning of your awakening. In today's world, people celebrate hustle. They celebrate working nonstop. They admire those who sacrifice sleep, rest, and peace in the name of productivity. Social media shows the highlight reels of success, the achievements, the milestones, the victories, but what it rarely shows is the emotional cost behind that success. Many people have learned to become experts at pretending everything is fine. They smile in meetings. They reply to messages quickly. They continue delivering results. From the outside, they look like they have everything under control. But internally, they are fighting a battle that no one else can see. Stress slowly drains the energy that fuels your passion. It steals your creativity. It dulls your excitement. And eventually it convinces you that this constant pressure is simply how life works. That's when burnout begins to take control. One of the biggest lies people believe is that slowing down means falling behind. But the truth is the opposite. When your mind is overwhelmed, your ability to make good decisions collapses. Your focus disappears. Your emotional resilience weakens. You may still be moving fast, but you are no longer moving effectively. Think about a machine that runs 24 hours a day without maintenance. Eventually the parts overheat. The gears wear down. The system begins to malfunction. Human beings are no different. Your brain is the most powerful system in existence, but even it requires recovery. The dangerous thing about stress is that it disguises itself as responsibility. You convince yourself that stopping is not an option. You tell yourself people depend on you. You tell yourself you cannot afford to rest. But when stress accumulates long enough, it forces you to stop whether you want to or not. Burnout does not just affect productivity. It affects identity. People who experience severe burnout often start questioning everything about their lives. They ask themselves why they started their journey in the first place. They wonder if their goals even matter anymore. The passion that once drove them begins to fade. But here is something powerful to remember. Feeling overwhelmed does not mean you have lost your purpose. It simply means your system needs recalibration. Just like a compass that gets slightly knocked off course, your mind sometimes needs a moment to realign with what truly matters. Almost every person who eventually transforms their life has experienced a breaking point, a moment where the pressure became impossible to ignore. For some people, it's a panic attack. For others, it's emotional exhaustion. For many, it's waking up one morning and realizing they no longer recognize the person they have become. That moment can feel terrifying. It feels like everything is falling apart. But in reality, it is often the beginning of clarity. When stress reaches its peak, your mind starts asking deeper questions. Questions you may have been avoiding for years. Questions like, why am I pushing so hard? What am I actually chasing? Is the life I am building truly aligned with the life I want to live? These questions are uncomfortable, but they are powerful. Because once you begin asking them honestly, something shifts inside you. You start realizing that the problem was never your ability to handle pressure. The problem was believing that constant pressure was the only path to success. The truth is that sustainable success requires balance. It requires energy management, not just time management. It requires emotional awareness, not just discipline. It requires the courage to step back before life forces you to collapse. Many of the most successful individuals in the world eventually learn this lesson. They realize that productivity is not about doing more things. It's about doing the right things with a clear mind and a healthy body. Imagine waking up in the morning with energy instead of dread. Imagine working toward your goals without constantly feeling overwhelmed. Imagine feeling in control of your life rather than controlled by it. That kind of life is not reserved for a few lucky people. It becomes possible the moment you stop ignoring the signals your mind and body are sending you. Stress is not your enemy. It is your messenger. And if you listen carefully, it might guide you toward the life you are actually meant to build. When stress becomes constant, your brain begins operating in survival mode. Instead of focusing on creativity, growth, or possibility, it focuses on one thing only: getting through the day. This happens because your nervous system is designed to protect you. When it senses constant pressure, deadlines, responsibilities, and emotional weight, it activates a fight-or-flight response. At first, this response helps you perform. It pushes you to meet deadlines, solve problems quickly, and stay alert. But when this state becomes permanent, your brain never truly relaxes. Even when you try to rest, your mind keeps running. Thoughts race. Worries appear out of nowhere. Small tasks feel heavier than they should. This is why many people feel exhausted even when they technically have time to rest. Their body may be still, but their mind is still running a marathon. The brain is constantly scanning for problems, constantly anticipating pressure, constantly preparing for the next challenge. Over time, this creates a feeling of being trapped inside your own life. Not because life is impossible, but because your mind has lost its sense of calm. The good news is that the brain is incredibly adaptable. Just as stress patterns were learned, they can also be unlearned. One of the biggest reasons people burn out is the belief that they must control everything. They try to manage every outcome, every responsibility, every expectation. They feel that if they relax even slightly, everything will collapse. But life has a powerful way of reminding us that control is often an illusion. No matter how organized, disciplined, or hardworking someone is, there will always be uncertainty. Unexpected problems appear. Plans change. Circumstances shift. The more tightly someone tries to control everything, the more stress they create for themselves. Because reality will never perfectly match our expectations. True strength comes from flexibility, not control. The people who avoid burnout are not those who try to manage every detail of life. They are the ones who learn to adapt. They focus on what they can influence and release what they cannot. When you stop trying to carry the entire world on your shoulders, something surprising happens. Your mind becomes lighter, your energy returns, and suddenly challenges feel manageable again. Many people believe progress only happens when they push forward non-stop. But some of the most important breakthroughs in life happen when you pause. Think about a moment when you were stuck on a problem. You kept thinking about it for hours but couldn't find a solution. Then you stepped away, maybe took a walk, rested, or focused on something else. Suddenly the answer appeared. That is the power of mental recovery. Your brain needs moments of silence to reorganize thoughts and restore clarity. Without those moments, your mind becomes overloaded with information and emotion. It's like trying to see clearly through fog. Stepping back does not mean quitting. It means giving your mind the space it needs to function at its best. Athletes understand this well. They do not train their muscles every second of the day. They alternate between effort and recovery. That recovery is what makes growth possible. Your mind works the same way. Rest is not wasted time. It is preparation for stronger performance. Burnout often happens when people lose connection with their deeper purpose. They become so busy handling responsibilities that they forget why they started their journey in the first place. When your actions no longer feel connected to meaning, stress multiplies, work feels empty, effort feels pointless, motivation disappears. But when you reconnect with what truly matters to you, energy returns. Purpose has a powerful effect on the human mind. It transforms effort into commitment and challenges into meaningful growth. Take a moment to ask yourself a simple question. What truly matters in my life right now? Not what society expects, not what others demand, but what genuinely matters to you. Sometimes the answer is family. Sometimes it's personal growth. Sometimes it's creating something meaningful in the world. Whatever the answer is, clarity about your priorities helps reduce unnecessary stress, because when you know what matters most, you stop wasting energy on things that don't. Many people believe escaping burnout requires a massive life change. They imagine quitting their job, moving to a new place, or completely restarting their life. But often the most powerful changes are small ones. Learning to set boundaries. These small habits create space for your mind to breathe. Imagine your mental energy like a battery. Every responsibility drains a little power. Without moments to recharge, the battery eventually runs empty. But when you intentionally create recovery moments, your energy becomes sustainable. Small adjustments repeated consistently can completely transform the way you experience life. When you finally pause, emotions that were buried under busyness start appearing, but facing those emotions is part of healing. Strength is about knowing when to pause before damage occurs. It takes courage to slow down in a world that constantly demands speed, but those who learn this skill discover something powerful. When they return to their goals, they return stronger. Their resilience grows. Instead of running on empty, they operate from a place of renewed energy, and that changes everything. If you feel overwhelmed right now, remember something important. Burnout does not mean you are broken. It simply means your system has been overloaded for too long. Energy can be rebuilt. Clarity can return. Motivation can be rediscovered. But it begins with awareness. Recognizing the signals your mind and body are sending you. Give yourself permission to rest. Give yourself permission to breathe. Give yourself permission to create balance again, because success is not about pushing yourself until you collapse. Real success is building a life where you can grow, achieve, and still feel alive inside. The world does not need a version of you that is exhausted and overwhelmed. It needs the version of you that is energized, clear, and fully present. And that version of you is still there, waiting for the moment you decide to take care of yourself again.